Eminem is in London. So that was a fan at the premiere of the SLAMS documentary trolling users on X, but it turned out Eminem was a no-show at the premiere of the SLAMS documentary. However, we got some surprises that came from the event, and we'll be exploring some of the reviews from the fans who also got to meet up with Eminem's manager, Paul Rosenberg. And let's just say a lot of the surprises so far have been centered on Paul Rosenberg. And before we get to it, the highlights and the reviews, including comments from the director. At the latter part of the video, we got some comments from Pusha T centered on Drake suing UMG over Not Like Us. And let's just say that a lot of Drake fans have been going off on Pusha T for slamming Drake over the lawsuit, as they believe he's once again using Drake for his rollout. And of course, we're gonna end it on a positive note, this time with the origin story of how Temporary from the death of Slim Shady came about, perhaps the biggest tearjerker on an Eminem album ever.
There's a record on there called Temporary. The record is a song that he's literally talking to his daughter how to proceed when he leaves here.
That's fine.
It's deep. Wow. I was driving in the car. I listened to the album. I was on a road trip for about 2 hours. I played it.
You pulled over and started crying?
Nah, but I did cry.
I believe.
No bullshit. Like, he got audio clips and shit of his daughter when she was little playing throughout the song. And he's really like saying, I know this pain you're feeling is temporary. You're gonna be okay. Like, he literally saying, play this after I die. I don't know how to talk to you now. Listen to this then. It sneaks in the album. You're not ready for that record. So some dads out there, somebody hit me, was like, yo, I want to know your thoughts about 2 particular songs. And I was like, I already know. He really, really smoked the album.
And starting with the SLAMS premiere, before we explore reactions from fans at the scene, including videos, photos, and reviews, Paul Rosenberg confirmed that the documentary is coming later this summer to Paramount Plus, and he posted this article that included a couple of statements from the director of SLAMS, Stephen Leckert, who had this to say about the journey. I was raised on hip-hop in the 80s and 90s, and I grew up on MTV, so I witnessed Eminem's rise firsthand, and I was a fan, but I think I just kept coming back to the song Stan, and really thinking about how unconventional it was and still is. He continued, I just saw an opportunity to make an unconventional documentary. We've seen a lot of documentaries that are just so straightforward and standard, and so this is a beautiful opportunity to do something different. Being a documentarian is amazing, he said about being able to convey Eminem's stratospheric rise to fame in a single project. You just pour through footage, you do research, you read article after article, and so to do that on a subject where you remember pieces and parts but not everything was like a dream. And before we get to the big surprise, the fans who were present at the premiere looked to have enjoyed the documentary across the board, as we got reviews like SLAMS was amazing, he makes us laugh, cry and everything in between, thanks to the director, producers and those lucky fans featured. And we got some more details on perhaps why Eminem didn't show up, among other things. The venue was nice, but London has so much going on the ground. I'm sure he wasn't there for security purposes.
Every area of London has literally every area is sketchy. The nice areas are sketchy, the bad areas are sketchy.
Q&A at the end with Paul, the director, the old president of MTV, and Zolt. Apparently it is still being edited and will eventually come out on Paramount Plus. And from another fan who got to meet up with Paul Rosenberg, the SLAMS documentary was absolutely brilliant. They nailed it. And we got this breakdown about how Eminem talked about Big Proof, his upbringing, Haley, when he became famous, the impact that the fans have had in his career, both negative and positive, and apparently we got some unreleased videos and photos, and a conversation about the Eminem fandom on social media platforms like Twitter, IG, TikTok, Reddit, etc., and even got to see some deleted scenes from the Stan music video. However, due to the fact that Eminem wasn't present at the premiere, has sparked split reactions. Why is Paul doing a Q&A with Zolt Shady? I have so many questions, loudly crying emojis. And we got this response among others. Instead of Eminem being there, they're having his lookalike. What a mess of a premiere for his documentary. Unfortunately, I don't see it doing well in terms of exposure to the general public, since M isn't doing anything to promote it. They should just release it on Netflix, LOL. Well, we already know it's gonna be on Paramount Plus, and some fans continued to lament. Only Eminem would not show up to his own premiere, laughing my bum off, and things escalated quickly. Baldhead is there, but not M. they can go F themselves, seriously. And the user wasn't done. Okay, the guy didn't come, it is his right, whatever. But act like it wasn't normal that people expected to see him at his premiere to promote his documentary about his career, saying things like, why should he come? He has better things to do, or he has a grandson. Please get the F out of here. So clearly not everyone is a fan of the lookalike strategy. And while some users are wondering why people are pissed off that he didn't show up, some have pointed out how they are mad about how they handled his absence. I'm only upset because why they got a fake like 2013M there, and by fake 2013M, this user is talking about Zolt Shady, who initially got some users wondering if Eminem shaved for the premiere. However, the real shocker was when photos of Paul Rosenberg's appearance hit the web, and this discussion ran wild across social media platforms. On Reddit, for instance, while some are asking, when the F did he get so skinny? And like you'd expect whenever people lose some weight these days, Paul on Ozempic, skull emoji. But let us hope that it is just weight loss rather than an illness. This is best case scenario, even if it is Ozempic, and I have to agree. Before this post, I've never seen so many people worried for Paul. And if you were in London for the premiere, please feel free to share your experiences in the comment section. And some old wounds got reopened hours ago when comments from a Pusha T interview with GQ regarding Drake suing went viral. And from Pusha T on Drake, I don't rate him no more. The suing thing is bigger than some rap-ish. I just don't rate you. Damn, it is like it just kind of cheapens the art of it once we gotta have real questions about suing and litigation. Like what? For this, man, I would only engage again if I felt like it. I think after everything that had been done, I don't think there was ever anything subliminal to be said ever again in life. Not only just musically, like bro, I actually was in Canada. I actually had a show and made it home, so I can pay no attention to none of that. I did the dance for real, not to come back and tiptoe around anything. I will say this, if Drake's adamant to have a lawsuit, it is only because he knows all the things that they did to suppress everything that was happening around Adidon and the verses and the records and things that were happening back then. And that last bit sounds like what 50 Cent said in the past about how Drake may be right about everything he's accused UMG of doing, but like 50 Cent pointed out, everything he accused them of doing for Kendrick, they did for him in the past.
Everything he's saying they did in that lawsuit, they did it. But like in hip hop, like there's nothing to sue for. There's nothing that I didn't sue for that. They're looking at it like it's business, it's selling the record. But everything that they said that he did, that they did for Kendrick, is something they did for him.
So it is kind of a stalemate, and clearly Pusha T is insinuating the same thing in this interview. But boy, as expected, this only led to even more heated debates, and Drake fans are losing it right now about how Drake never needed his rating to begin with and much more. He doesn't rate him, but yet he's the only one actually getting in the ring. If Drake wasn't around, who's really stepping to make Kendrick, Pusha? Nobody. The rest either ducked or bowed out. We can discredit Drake all we want, but he's the only one taking fades. And while a lot of Drake fans have also been pointing out how Pusha T's career is pretty much 0 for 0 when it comes to hits, some users have fired back with, I see a lot of people calling Push a bum or broke or whatever, but I don't see any life accomplishments to match the energy y'all giving. To sit here and not eat another man's success that's not yours, by the way, in an attempt to put down another man who is probably more successful than you is sad. Y'all gotta touch grass. However, some have hit back with laughing emoji that's like saying if I'm a Lakers fan arguing with a Knicks fan and I bring up championships, I'm knob eating. LOL. Nah, that's not how it works. Rap is a sport, isn't it? LOL. And of course, many Drake fans have concluded that Push is using Drake's name for his album rollout. And I'll be looking forward to your thoughts on this debate. And moving on, a new Skylar interview just dropped that focused on how she's pretty much one of the most underrated songwriters of all time, especially when it comes to some of the biggest hits of the 21st century. And we got some snippets from the interview on the writing process for Love the Way You Lie, among other things, in this initial reveal.
When I wrote Love the Way You Lie, that song only took me about 15 minutes to write. And a month later, it was the #1 song in the world.
Please welcome Skylar Gray.
Wrote one of the biggest songs of the year.
Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter who has written hits from Macklemore, Rihanna, Beyonce, and Eminem.
You've done 10 songs together.
I came out and sang at the Grammys with Dr. Dre and Eminem.
You recently put out a song with Jelly Roll.
I love Jelly Roll. He's the best. I've been on SNL twice with Eminem, and I don't remember what songs we did. So I hit up Marshall, and I was like, hey, can you send this to your friend Ed Sheeran? Back to Celine Dion.
Yeah.
I need to make this work. I need to find a way to make a living in music because it's the only thing I know how to do. Then I went broke, found myself living in a cabin in the woods in Oregon. When I set out on my journey in music, no, I did not plan on writing songs for other artists. But then when they told me Rihanna was cutting it, it was a bittersweet moment because I was like, I love Rihanna, so this is amazing. But there was like a part of me that was just like, oh, like I'm not gonna sing the song I wrote.
However, we also got to find out some new details about Temporary from the death of Slim Shady, the same one that got adults breaking down. And Skylar Gray expanded on how this song came about and how it also nearly went to a pop star who's got multiple collaborations with Eminem.
Then I hit a certain point where I was just in tears. I was like, fuck this, I suck. I can't write songs anymore. I give up, which this happens to me a lot. But this was like a really bad episode of me hitting that point where I'm just like, I'm fucking done. I suck. And Elliot, my partner, was like, hey, babe, the other night you recorded this piano riff on my phone in my voice notes. You want to just check it out? I was like, fuck it, send it to me. And he sent me the piano chord riff to Temporary that I had recorded on his phone.
That's crazy.
And I was like, damn, this is actually pretty cool. And so I literally, that piano that I recorded in the voice note is the piano on the song. That was my original playing of that piano riff, ended up being the piano. I never replayed it. So I loaded that voice note into Pro Tools and I started singing ideas over it. And I literally was just singing about how I felt in that moment. I was like, I know I'm gonna get through this. I always do. I always end up writing something, but it sucks when I hit this wall where I feel like I suck and I reach the point of tears and I'm crying. Like, these tears are temporary. I'm gonna get through it. And so that's how I wrote that hook. And then I was like, this kind of sounds like an Ed Sheeran song or something. So I hit up Marshall and I was like, hey, can you send this to your friend Ed Sheeran? And he was like, yeah, I got you, girl. And then he was like, wait, no, I'm keeping this. And then he turned it into this beautiful masterpiece of him talking to his daughter from the grave, basically. And the place that he took the hook was something I never imagined happening with it. And I'm so satisfied and grateful. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It made the whole world cry.
100%.
Yeah.
Incredible story.
And I'll be looking forward to your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.